Let me tell you a few stories. Well, here's the first. There's a bad man, criminal. He dies, and I take him to the afterlife, and he's going to hell. So I tell him, well, you've got a choice between 3 different hells. The first hell, very hot, fire and brimstone. Everyone's sweating profusely, very uncomfortable, barely able to carry on a conversation because move about, it's terrible. Second hell, freezing. Everybody's shivering constantly in a clamor, chattering their teeth. Also very difficult to carry on a conversation. The third hell, well, everyone is standing up to their waist in shit. And they've all got cups of coffee and they're carrying on conversations. So the criminal turns to me and says, well, I think I'm going to take the third hell. So I look at him and I smirk. Very good. Off he goes. Up to his waist in shit. He gets a cup of coffee and he feels pretty comfortable. All of a sudden, over a loudspeaker, a voice says, "Attention, attention, coffee break is over. Time to land on your head again." Don't judge a book. So, 3 idiots. These guys are really stupid. They die in a car crash, and I take them up into the afterlife, and I tell them, well, before you pass on into this eternal realm, I want you to answer a question for me. Yeah. I mean, they ought to know better. What, and this is a Christian question because you're all supposed Christians, what can you tell me about Easter? The first idiot says, isn't that the holiday that happens in the fall where we all pig out on a turkey and watch football all day long? Wrong, I said. He disappeared in a puff of smoke. The next man, he said, isn't that the thing that happens in December where we all exchange gifts and decorate a dead tree? Wrong, I said. Disappeared. The third idiot, well, he looked nervous, and I turned to him. What can you tell me about Easter? That's the holiday that happens in the early spring. It starts... Again, you guys just wait for it. Do you have more tape?
You can just hand hold.
This isn't good for bad timing, timing's everything. I should know. So the third idiot. Let me just let's wind this back a bit. And I turn to him and I say, what can you tell me about Easter? And he says, well, isn't that the holiday that happens in the early spring where it starts on the day that Jesus is put up on a cross between 2 criminals and forced to wear a crown of thorns. He dies and they take him off the cross, bury him in a cave, and roll a rock over the entrance to seal it. 3 days later, he's supposed to rise from the dead. I was impressed at this point, and I was about to allow him to pass, but the idiot continued. And so they roll the rock away from the entrance, and if Jesus pops his head out, then that means 6 more weeks of winter, right? Smoke. Poor guy. Well, do you know that the odds of you being murdered are 1 in 20,000? Let's hope you're not that lucky. That's funny to me. So, there is 2 people. They die around the same time, a preacher and a lawyer, and I take them up. And they're both off to heaven. And I give a deed. You see, up in heaven, everyone gets a mansion or some sort of a house or whatever. You know, they get some place to live, and it's kind of dependent on, well, a number of things. But the priest, I gave him a deed to a shack, and I settled him into his austere quarters. And to the lawyer was given a luxurious mansion, very nice. The lawyer turned to me and said, "I don't get it. This priest over here gets a shelter, a little tiny shack, and I'm given a mansion?" And I said to him, "Well, you see, we've got a lot of priests up here in heaven, but you, sir, are our first lawyer." Any lawyers in the crowd?
I did.
To be, you said?
No, I said I'm ready. I'm a lawyer.
Oh, are you?
What do you got for that?
Well, I mean, just saying. Good luck. There's a man. This is something that I witnessed. I was hovering, waiting, because I knew that death was imminent. Traveling sometimes, and I overhear a lot of different things. So there was a man lying in a hospital bed, and he began flailing about as if he were wanting to speak. The priest who was keeping watch at his bedside, leaned over and quietly asked, "Is there something you'd like to say, son?" The man nodded an affirmative, and the priest passed him a pad and pen. He said, "Well, I know you can't speak, but write something down on this pad, and I will give the note to your wife who's waiting outside." Gathering his last bit of strength, the man scrawled something onto the note and passed it, crumpled, pushed it into the priest's hand. Moments later, the man died. The priest left the room, gave the news to his wife, consoled her for a moment, and said, "This is your husband's last words. He wanted you to have this note." Tearfully, the wife opened the note, and on it was written the words, "Get off my oxygen hose." Accidents happen. Speaking of accidents, this was another funny thing. Yeah, this happened a while back. I mean, in the 80s. Not that long ago for me. Maybe, I mean, for you guys. Yeah. What? I heard that. Shirley, she got in an accident and was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Beverly Hills, and where she had a near-death experience. She came out of her body and appeared before me, and she was surprised. She said, "Wait a sec, is this it? Am I dead?" And I told her, no, you've got 30 or 40 years. Don't worry about it. Go back. So she returned to her body and began her recovery. Upon recovery, knowing that she had a full life ahead of her, she decided to live a little. She got liposuction and collagen implants, facelift, breast augmentation. She even had somebody come in and dye her hair. When Shirley left Cedars-Sinai, she walked out the front door and was immediately hit and killed by an ambulance rushing to the emergency room. Shirley appeared before me and said, "Wait a second, I thought you said I had 30 or 40 years. I turned to her. "Oh, Shirley, I didn't recognize you." Here's the pitch you got. There is I'm not such a bad guy. gray stone from Bethesda, Maryland that reads, "Here lies an atheist, all dressed up with nowhere to go." It's kind of funny, especially because hell for an atheist is learning that there is one. Yeah. I've got one or two more for you here. Thanks for laughing. I hope you don't feel obliged, but a Republican on his deathbed all of a sudden decides to convert his political, I don't know what you call that, his political party. He decides to become a Democrat, to switch over. He tells this to his friend. He says, I want to register as a Democrat. And his friend says, I don't get it. You've been a Republican all your life. Why now? Why would you want to switch over to the Democratic Party? And the man replies, well, you know, it's better that one of them die than one of us. Hell for a Republican? No taxes. One more. Memories. Oh, here's one. Okay, this one's kind of funny. So there are two men having a conversation, and I'm kind of processing things on the side here. You know, brought them up, I've reached their souls, and there's waiting. Stretch something up, and the one man says, well, how'd you die? He says, I froze to death. The guy says, gosh, that sounds tough. How does that feel? He's like, well, it's actually not so bad. You know, at first, it hurts a lot. It's really painful and shivering, but after a while, you just kind of go numb and sort of fade away. It's kind of like going to sleep. Well, how did you die? The other man says, I died of a massive heart attack. I was sure that my wife was cheating on me, and so I came home unexpectedly one day, found her watching television. I was sure that there was somebody, so I ran around and checked everywhere. Couldn't find anyone, but on my way up to the attic, in a fit, I had this massive heart attack and I died. The other guy says, well, it's really ironic. I says, well, why is that? Well, you know, you just checked in the freezer, we'd both still be alive. Don't hide from your fate. Oh, and what does this mean?
Technical difficulties.
Oh, phew. You gotta be careful. Over here, alright? Okay. Thank you very much. Ow!
How do I make it? No.
Yeah.
This?
Yeah, no,